program is brought to you by First National Bank of Botswana. Welcome to First Issues. As we continue to grow our reach into the pockets of the entrepreneurial community to bring stories of inspiration and courage for those looking for a reason to try, we are constantly reminded of how entrepreneurs are not only following their dreams and living out their passion, but are also solving for a crisis that plagues our nation: unemployment. Botswana's struggle with high unemployment, particularly amongst its youth, is a story that requires more than just headlines. It's a complex economic challenge with human implications, and international reports provide a compelling narrative. According to a World Bank report published in April of 2025, the country's unemployment rate stood at 27.6% in the first quarter of 2024, a statistic that disproportionately impacts women, youth, and residents of urban settlements. This is further underlined by the findings of the United Nations Development Programme report, which notes that nearly 38% of young people aged 15 to 35 years are unemployed. Complementing this is an Afrobarometer survey that was released in July of 2024. It offers a stronger on-the-ground perspective. It reveals that a staggering 60% of young Botswana are actively seeking work. The survey highlights a critical disconnect. While today's youth are more educated than previous generations, their formal qualifications often do not translate into employment. In the face of these compelling statistics, we bring you the story of Wililani Moses, who is the founder and managing director at Keli-isi. Operating on the belief that knowledge only is inadequate, Moses and his team are tackling the crisis by focusing on what they call life solutions for life problems. Keli-isi's flagship Equipped for Life program is the strategic core of their work. This initiative goes beyond the classroom, weaving in essential life skills through weekly sessions, retreats, coaching, and workshops. The program includes gender-specific tracks such as Lekotla for boys and In Young Ladies' World for girls, providing a safe and nurturing environment for personal growth. By guiding young people through various stages of life, Keli-isi equips them with the character, values, and resilience needed to thrive in a demanding job market. Besides the obvious motive of solving for this glaring unemployment monster, why did Wililani find Keli-isi worthy of the time of day? First Issues brings you this conversation from Block 8, where the center is based.
I think I'll start by stepping back to how I grew up. I'm not one of the most gifted kids academically, and I think I struggled a lot with a lot of issues growing up, and anxiety, fitting in, desire to do different, but also not knowing how do I do different. And I think growing up, I think in the early years of my secondary school, I discovered that I love helping people generally. I love helping people, and when the teacher would step out, I would step in and say, no, let's revise. That's where my passion came from. And then eventually I realized, you know what, I think the easiest way for me to really help people would be to help the young ones who are coming up. Over the years I discovered, no, my passion is to cater for kids who are not catered for in the schools, which is now then streamlining. So no, this is what Keli-isi does. It avails itself to create an environment that for kids who are not created, who don't have the environment created for them in a normal school setting. So that is what we do.
You say that you have always had a passion for helping, but did that in your mind translate to you're going to be an entrepreneur? Was it something that you always knew you would end up as?
No, if anything, I think in the past 3 years was when I knew entrepreneurship is something that I want to do. I remember instances where I'm having conversations with people. They will ask me, "Are you running a charity or a business?" Because there was that confusion of what exactly are you doing? Because we don't see you focusing on profits. We see you focusing on people. Is this a charity or a business? So I don't think my thought had always been I want to be an entrepreneur, but my thoughts where I want to make a change. I want to make a difference.
What were those realizations that you made in that time?
Okay, I think first thing is when I hit the 5-year mark, for me, it was then you realize at the beginning there's a hype around your business. Okay, you're new in the market. It's like, okay, no, fine. This person is new. We know of these ones. But let's try it out. I think Botswana try out things, and you then get to a point where you've won here, you've made some losses there, but then how do you remain relevant? I think relevance is very important as a business. Is that how do you remain relevant? The world is changing. COVID hit. We have to do online. All these things. Like pay attention to what is happening around you and how do you remain relevant. For me, I think hitting the 5-year mark, I then had to redefine what exactly do I offer. I then had to reintroduce my business again to say this is what exactly we're about. Because as things evolve and as things change, as a business, you cannot stay and say, this is where I started and this is who I am. I think you need to change with the times. The main thing remains the main thing, but how you do things really matters. I think for me it was one, redefining what exactly do I offer and making it specific and clear to people. Because even with the motto and everything that we had from the beginning, it was vague, because when you're starting a business, like I said, when I was starting, I wasn't sure this is the path that I'm taking.
bitsa motho gore motho a leke mangwala e go duela metsi.
Mama, kana male jana ha o tlhoka le go tsamela kgakala gore go duela metsi. FNB re diretse tiro motho.
Senthe.
Ma kwa go marekisetsong a ile gore ana le tshwala FNB Cash Plus. Se se tlhokanyela ke o mang wa gago mo tirisong le reference number e bon dinomoro tse diriswang go ruratsa dituelo tsa gago.
FNB what?
FNB Cash Plus.
Madonna makante ke mo ntse samplele ka mananeo ya FNB ya Cash Plus.
La ha re le nna ke gone go utang ka dona ebile ke be ke sa dumele.
Deposit cash and coins, withdraw from e-wallet, make cardless cash withdrawals, buy prepaid airtime and electricity, pay bills such as water, electricity and many more.
FNB. Dona. Nyawa ene ke ra sa thare. Mpare mo tiki. Na ke ra go motho hela mamarapedi. O tola skontere hela. O bua go semosong wa go duela semosong. Manane wa FNB Cash Plus.
FNB, how can we help you?
Over the years, I discovered my passion is to cater for kids who are not catered for in the schools, which is now then streamlining. So this is what Keli-isi does. It avails itself to create an environment that for kids who are not created, who don't have the environment created for them in a normal school setting. So that is what we do.
Thank you so much for staying with First Issues. We continue our conversation with founder and managing director at Keli-isi, Wililani Moses, now focusing on the enterprise. So from that, those realizations, what would you say are some of the proudest moments for you along this journey? Some achievements, possibly tangible ones that you could point to and say, this is me.
I think for me, one of the biggest things for us as a business and for me as an individual is impact. Is beyond just getting the Form 5 results, what impact have you had on the kids? It's seeing them become men and women who are adding value to the society is one of the most important things. And I think one of the most proudest things I could share that is still very new is like a couple of weeks ago, about 2-3 weeks ago, one of the young boys that I worked with hosted a men's conversation meeting where I was one of the speakers, where we were talking about how we see issues about men committing suicide, men, gender-based violence, all these things. And beyond just us complaining about all these things are happening, what are we doing to be the solution to those issues? Yeah. And he gathered a group of young men, gathered a group of older men, about 4 or 5 of us, to come and speak to these young men. So we hosted that, and when I look back at this young boy from the time we were with him, he's such an asset to our country, an asset to our community. But looking back at how we used to struggle with the conversations and getting him from point A to point B, and even having conversations with our parents and realizing, sure, this boy has grown from who he was then to who he is now. And for me, that is the best reward ever. It's not the Form 5 results, but it's the kind of person that we have at the end and the impact that he stands to have in the society. For me, that's what makes me proud. So when I look at all the kids that we've worked with, and I look at the ones that are really making an impact in our society, that's the best thing ever.
So maybe we could talk about the bad, the hardships that you have had to go through in your journey, and how you were able to overcome and, productively and successfully manage them.
First year of business was a struggle, because starting the business started with my own pocket, no funding. That was a challenge, because when you look at you have to acquire furniture, you have to acquire all these things. It's a struggle. Yeah. And I remember even when I was starting my first year in business, I used to mostly tutor, and I was sitting in a restaurant with a kid. Yeah. I would go to the houses. I normally say to my students, I'm like, when people say I've walked, I've learned how to walk from one place to another just to achieve the goals that you have. And sometimes you're walking because money, that's the only thing you can do. So I think starting, that was the struggle. But 2 years into business, 3 years into business, things got better. Now you have a bit of money, you have cars that you're running for business, you're using to run business and everything. And then towards 4 or 5 year mark, things started going down. Going down again. And I think that was the worst, some of the most challenging years of both personally in my life and also business-wise, because I think part of what business brings as well, especially if you are the only owner and everything basically rests on your shoulders, is that it could tend to affect you mentally as well, health-wise, because it's stressful. So I think I've seen even in the 2 years after hitting the 5 year mark, it was a challenge. 2 years was a struggle financially, and because we had less clients, business wasn't really doing well. I'm having to sell assets, so I struggled with that because I had to sell assets. I had cars that I had to sell, that were for the business. I had a combi for the business. I had to sell all those things just to keep business running. But when I look back at it also, you learn to be resilient. In business, you learn to be resilient. Even in the conversations that you have with people will tell you, close it up and go and start work. Some people can. For me, I think my thought is, I remember saying it even to my family when they told me, no, close and go find a job. And I was like, for me, my picture is I've raised this child for the past 5 years. This child is approaching 7 years. And just because I'm having challenges with the child, you're telling me to abort the child. It doesn't make sense to me. So I worked through and said, fine, I'm going to find solutions to these issues. I'm going to find out what can I do. And I think one of the biggest thing was really understanding what sets me apart as a business. And the moment I understood that, things became easier.
Do you have any regrets though about having gone or taken this route as far as a career is concerned?
Honest truth, no. The truth is no. People, I say to people, I'm like, I say it jokingly, but that's real. Even if anyone was to offer me money right now to work for them, I wouldn't take it that easily, because there's such joy and satisfaction that comes with doing something you're passionate about, something that you love, that you can't get anywhere else, that money can buy. I could be working somewhere, have a salary, maybe even think we're going to find I have a senior job, I have a senior at the office, and it could simply be that. But would that satisfy me? Would that still fulfill the things that I want to fulfill? Would I have an impact as much as I have now? I don't think I would. So painful as it might be, it has all been worth it. I don't think it was easy, but it was worth it. Yeah.
Ultimately, while the numbers from institutions like the World Bank and Afrobarometer paint a sobering picture, the work of Keli-isi is a compelling counter-narrative. It proves that by investing in the whole person, not just their academic knowledge, it is possible to empower a generation to overcome unemployment, create their own opportunities, and build a more stable and prosperous future for Botswana.
ta bitsa motho gore motho a leke mangwala e go duela metsi.
Mama, ka re male jana o tlhoka le go tsamela kgakala gore go duela metsi. FNB re diretse tiro motho.
Senthe.
Ma kwa go marekisetsong a ile gore ana le tshwao la FNB Cash Plus. Se se tlhokanyela ke o mang wa gago mo tirisong le reference number e bong dinomoro tse diriswang go rurihatsa dituelo tsa gago.
FNB what?
FNB Cash Plus.
Madonna makante ke ngontso sampolele ka mananeo ya FNB ya Cash Plus.
Hela ha re le nna ke gone go utlwang ka dona ebile ke ne ke sa dumele
ka be ke heditse.
Deposit cash and coins, withdraw from e-wallet, make cardless cash withdrawals, buy prepaid airtime and electricity, pay bills such as water, electricity and many more.
Irrevolutile FNB.
Dona. Nyawa ena ke ra sa thara. Mpare motiki. Na ke ra go motho hela mamarapedi. O tola sekontere hela. O bua go semosong wa go duela semosong. Manane wa FNB Cash Plus.
FNB, how can we help you?
We have the Visa Everywhere initiative, and we do want to encourage Botswana fintech, Botswana businesses to apply because it works along the same line as She's Next, and it's open for everyone.
Welcome to First Issues. We have arrived at the last segment of the program where we discuss solutions to entrepreneurial challenges. On this backdrop, funding has come up as one of the major challenges that entrepreneurs face, this being particularly difficult for women-owned SMMEs. While Botswana is a global leader in female entrepreneurship, with reports like the 2021 MasterCard Index of Women Entrepreneurs ranking the country in pole position globally for the percentage of total business owners who are women, access to finance still remains a key constraint. The struggle for funding means many of these women cannot start, grow, or expand their enterprises to a point of being significant economic contributors. Studies have noted that only about 10% of women access higher value loans that could enable them to grow their businesses. Organizations such as Visa took it upon themselves to remedy this, recognizing the gaps and potential with She's Next Botswana, a program aimed at fostering an inclusive and equitable environment for women-led businesses through access to funding, tailored training, mentorship, and networking opportunities. The initiative attracted hundreds of women entrepreneurs, with only 70 shortlisted to compete for up to 700,000 pula for the top 3 companies. We caught up with Salome Magao, who's Cluster Country Manager for Visa Southern Africa, with more details about the outcome of this initiative.
She's Next is a global visa program that looks to support SMEs and particularly women-led SMEs. It's our initiative to support for financial inclusion and grow small businesses, because small businesses, we know, are the cornerstone and the cracks of growing economies. We've had She's Next initiatives across the globe, but in Africa, it's only been in South Africa, in Kenya, and Cote d'Ivoire, and now for the first time in Botswana. So it's really exciting for me to be doing this in Botswana. So we made the call in June to have women-owned businesses from Botswana operating in Botswana for the last year apply for this program. We actually received over 300 applications, which is really great, even compared to the bigger markets in terms of populations where we've had this before, and we're thrilled about that. And the applications were across sectors. We had from the food industry, we had from mining, from renewable energy, from wellness, from education. So it shows that there's a lot of thriving industry and businesses in Botswana.
So what of the future? What can those who did not make it to the finals look forward to, and indeed those who might now be interested in She's Next Botswana second time around?
With our partnership with UNDP, we'll be calling again for 200 more businesses who will not be getting prize money, but will go through a mentorship program in terms of education about their businesses, how to help their businesses grow and thrive, and it's going to be run by UNDP. And so this is actually an additional benefit that we're happy about. We also hope to have a second year and a third year of She's Next running, but without having to wait for She's Next, we do have other programs that are open to all businesses. We have the Visa Everywhere initiative, and we do want to encourage Botswana fintech, Botswana businesses to open, to apply, because it works along the same line as She's Next, and it's open for everyone.
Such opportunities are there to help support the potential for growth that you may be seeing in yourself as an entrepreneur. But to benefit from them, you have to be able to seize them as timely as you possibly can. And with that, we have come to the end of tonight's installment of Thursday Shoes. Till next time, good night. This program was proudly brought to you by First National Bank of Botswana.